A young nerd's open love letter to the head cheerleader puts him in the crosshairs of a coked-up psycho. Can he survive the night and win the girl? Welcome back to Nonstop Recap. Today we'll be going over the 2009 teen comedy I Love You, Beth Cooper. At a high school graduation ceremony, valedictorian Dennis frets in agony as he recalls his friend Rich's advice to give a grand speech in front of his crush. Now the time has come to follow through as Dr. Gleason calls him to the podium. Dennis first gives a typical graduation speech about living without regret, but floors everyone when he openly declares his love for head cheerleader Beth Cooper. She sits bewildered as he recalls the years he spent admiring her from a distance, but his speech derails when he begins criticizing the other students, calling Rich Girl Valley stuck-up and suggesting Greg the bully was molested as a child. He then calls Beth's boyfriend Kevin a loser for dating younger women. After he tells Rich to come out of the closet, Gleason finally cuts him off. As Dennis leaves the auditorium to a sea of hateful stares, Gleason notes that he's never been so reckless. She tells him there will be another Beth Cooper out there waiting for him. As Gleason leaves, Beth approaches and tells Dennis that he embarrassed her, but at least it was sweet. Rich interrupts to tell Dennis that he isn't gay, but Dennis keeps his focus on Beth and tries to invite her to a party at his house that night. Before she can answer, Kevin steps in and throws Dennis to the ground. Gleason intervenes before he can do any real damage, but Dennis has no idea what sort of hell he's just unleashed. Rich later asks Dennis why anyone would think he's gay, and Dennis recalls the time Rich suggested they make an erotically charged Robin Hood movie together. Rich later joins Dennis in getting ready for the party. When Rich observes that Dennis stinks of fear, Dennis removes his shirt to air it out. Of course, this is when his parents enter. After his mother gives him grief for wearing his lucky underpants, his father gives the boys champagne to share with their guests. His dad then lectures him on enjoying his summer while he can, as Stanford's medical program won't allow much time for parties. He pointedly informs the boys that there are condoms by his bed. Dennis and Rich later wait outside for their guests' arrival when a car speeds over the curb and into the driveway. Beth steps out along with her friends Cammie and Treese. As they enter the house, they notice they're the only ones to arrive. Dennis tries to make small talk, but puts his foot in his mouth when he thinks Beth is joking about having a dead brother. While Beth takes a call from Kevin, Rich runs to get the condoms, and Dennis tries to open the champagne. He fails horribly, cutting his finger and then corking himself in the face. Beth straddles him to nurse his face with frozen waffles, but gets up when she feels him becoming aroused. When the girls notice the condoms sitting on the counter, Treese blows a magnum balloon and they decide to leave. Beth pecks Dennis on the cheek as she turns to go, but stops when Kevin shows up in his Hummer high on coke and ready to rage. Dennis panics and scrambles to barricade the windows, but fails to close the back door. Kevin and his buddies enter, backing Rich and Dennis into the kitchen before pelting them with dishes, bottles, and even a microwave. Rich and Dennis flee upstairs where they lock the door and search for weapons. Rich throws Dennis a lightsaber before hiding in the closet. Kevin kicks the door down, stopping momentarily when he sees a Beth Cooper poster above the bed. Dennis threatens Kevin with the lightsaber, but Dennis rips the arms off an articulated skeleton and beats Dennis with them. As Dennis cries for help, Rich flees out the window. Luckily, Beth arrives and smashes Kevin with a skull, giving Dennis time to follow Rich. He finds Rich hanging from the ledge, and Rich falls to the ground just before Kevin pushes Dennis off the roof with his own lightsaber. As Rich and Dennis scramble away, Kevin and his buddies jump from the roof like action heroes. Dennis flees but runs into the road and gets hit by Beth's car. She and Cammie help him into the passenger seat while Rich arrives and hops in the back. Kevin tries to stop the car, but Beth speeds past him and takes off. Dennis criticizes Beth's driving, unaware that it'll save his life before the night is through. He then borrows her phone to call his parents, but they're busy making love in the back of his dad's car. He tries to leave a message, but Beth realizes Kevin can track her phone and quickly ditches it out the window. She then drives them to a gas station where her sudden stop causes Dennis to fall into her lap, giving him a peek at her underwear. Take a mental snapshot, it'll come up later. Dennis and Beth go inside to buy beer, but the cashier isn't fooled by Beth's fake ID, so she persuades him by offering to make out with him. As they return to the car, Dennis finds himself disillusioned by Beth's behavior and mutters out loud that she's not Beth Cooper. The gang heads out to the woods for some fireside drinking, but Dennis isolates until Beth lures him closer with a beer. Despite some initial awkwardness, they start to relax when Rich and the girls wander off to give Beth and Dennis some time alone. When they come across a field of cows, Tree suggests they go cow tipping, and Rich ruins his new shoes in a sopping wet cow pie. Back by the fire, Beth reveals that she heard what Dennis said in the car. He partially takes it back, but clarifies that he feels like Beth could be better than how she acts. After Rich fails to tip a cow, he and the girls decide to head back. Not wanting to stink up her car, Beth makes Rich lose his dung-covered shoes if he doesn't want to get left behind. She then proceeds to recklessly joyride without her headlights on, narrowly avoiding a head-on collision as she sideswipes a parked car. She stops and Rich watches in dismay as his dad emerges from the car with his pants down. He starts to get out, but Beth warns him against it before taking off and driving them to a party at Valley's place. The gang splits up, and it isn't long before Dennis is ambushed by Greg and hustled into another room. The beefy bully really has been abused, and most of his bullying has occurred under the influence of rage blackouts. He gives Dennis a tearful hug, grateful for the chance to be vulnerable with someone. Once they part ways, Dennis reconnects with Rich and they notice their gym coach flirting with a bunch of teen girls. They then run into Dennis's ex-girlfriend Patty and her friend Victoria, who inform them that Kevin is upstairs. Dennis and Rich panic and take off, but a run-in with Beth and Cammy draws the attention of Valley and Kevin. As the Psycho Brigade drag Rich and Dennis out of the room, Beth fumes and quietly leaves the house. Don't worry, she'll be coming back in style. Kevin prepares to fight Dennis with encouragement from Valley and their coach, but when Dennis refuses to put up his fists, Kevin bloodies his nose anyway. Greg sees this and rushes to his new friend's defense, taking down Kevin and his friends before knocking out the coach for good measure. But Kevin recovers and kicks Greg into a table. As he again prepares to beat on Dennis, Beth drives his Hummer through the wall. Greg then revives and knocks him out, giving the others time to escape. Beth drives them to safety, but Dennis berates her for the crazy turn the night has taken. Undeterred, she takes them to the school where she breaks them in using her cheerleader's key. They head to the auditorium where the girls entertain Dennis with a cheerleading routine while definitely not gay Rich joins in. Afterward, Beth suggests they all hit the showers. Dennis shies away when he sees the girls undressing in the locker room, but Beth drops her towel and they all encourage Dennis to join in. Rich agrees that Dennis needs to loosen up as he runs into the shower to join the girls. When Dennis spots Beth's underwear lying out, he finally decides to seize the day and begins removing his clothes. But Kevin and his buddies show up to ruin the night yet again. Rich saves Dennis by towel whipping Kevin and his friends in the crotch, and Dennis escapes with the girls while Rich stays behind. When Dennis and the girls hastily get dressed, Dennis realizes he doesn't have his pants. Rich gains the high ground with his fight against Kevin, easily dispatching him in the stairwell. He leaves to find the others waiting with his clothes, and they speed away as Dennis and Beth argue over which of them is at fault for the night they've had. When Dennis reminds Beth that she was the one who came to his house, Cammy says they only did it because they thought it would be funny. Treese, immune to the hostility, helpfully gives Dennis tampons for his bloody nose. As the others sleep, Beth apologizes for what Cammy said. Noting how badly Dennis has begun to stink, she has him take his shirt off so she can air it out through the window, but she quickly loses it on the road. They stop to look for it, and the gang laughs at Dennis's lucky undies until Beth gives him a poncho to wear. They soon find the shirt, but a raccoon gets to it first and chases them back to the car. Needing a place to hide from Kevin, they drive to a cabin Teresa's dad uses to hide from his wife. As day breaks outside, Beth and Dennis go out to watch the sunrise. Inside, Rich plays around with a shotgun mounted on the wall, but his manly impression of John Wayne amuses the girls for all the wrong reasons, as they still believe him to be gay. While Dennis hesitates over whether to put his arm around Beth, Cammy and Treese note that Rich wasn't aroused when he saw them in the shower. When he again claims that he isn't gay, they playfully blow in his ear and seductively lick a snack cake before pulling him into the bedroom for a threesome. He doesn't last long, but the girls finally conclude that he indeed is definitely not gay. Outside, Beth asks Dennis if he still loves her. He says yes, although she's a lot scarier than he thought she'd be. Nonetheless, she says that all of his memories from high school have been from tonight. When Beth admits to Dennis that she's afraid her peak years are over, he tells her he knows that she'll have an amazing, if perhaps chaotic, life. After the night from hell, he finally kisses the girl of his dreams. At Dennis's house, his parents assess the damage caused by Kevin when Beth pulls up. Dennis gets out of the car and his mother frets over the cuts on his face before going inside to make pancakes. His dad is grateful that Dennis had fun, but says he'll have to be punished. Dennis tells him the night he had was worth it. As his dad goes inside, Beth wishes Dennis luck at college. He kisses her on the cheek, but she grabs him and kisses him full on. As they tearfully part ways, he says he'll see her at the reunion and promises to marry her if they're both still single. Watching her drive off, Rich admits to Dennis that he might be gay. They head inside, and the film ends as Dennis admits that he has no intention of waiting until the reunion to see Beth again. Click one of the videos on screen for more.